In this video, I'm going to run through the top 5 most common questions that are asked in Infosys HR interviews. So let's start with the first question, which is very, very likely to come up. And it's a question around understanding what you actually know about Infosys. So they want to see people who have done their research and know their stuff. And the way to approach this question is you want to start in the center of that diagram and work your way out. So you want to get in the basic ideas about the things everyone knows about Infosys. Everyone knows it's an IT company, for example. Then you want to branch out and start mentioning some things that only some people would know. And then to make your answer really stand out and maximize your chances of scoring well on this question, you want to talk about certain things that only very few people would know because you've done such detailed research and that the interviewer has probably not even heard themselves. So that's the way to really succeed in this. So we'll start with some things that everyone should be expected to know. For example, it was founded in 1981. You ought to talk about all the different divisions that the company have, and you can find that in their annual reports. And my top tip is, of course, to read the annual report. This is where you find the most up-to-date and detailed information. Because they're listed on the American Stock Exchange as well, you'll find Form 10K that's got lots of fantastic information about the company to read. So you want to talk about their divisions, talk about things like Finacle, which is their financial services platform. You want to talk about their global education center. They are absolutely enormous. They've got hundreds of instructors and are very heavily committed to educating their workforce. You want to talk about that, talk about the programs, talk about what you can gain from that. You want to talk about the rivalry with the Tata Group and how they are, competing with them, and the two companies are very, heavy rivals. A great idea, a really great idea to get into that sort of few segment and make you stand out is to look at a recent major project that Infosys has delivered, research it in real depth, see how Infosys delivered the project, what innovations they did, and if you do that, that really shows a deep understanding of the business. And the person interviewing you probably didn't even know about that project. And it shows that you've done some really amazing research. You also want to look at their big clients. For example, they even opened an entire office pretty much for the benefit of Harley Davidson. And you can also look at their expansion plan. So where is the business going? And you'll find that information in the annual report. So I've given you some starting points for your research, but you really have to do really detailed research. Even if they don't ask this question specifically, you want to drop all these bits of knowledge in. If you show an amazing knowledge, that really does go a long way towards helping you secure the job. So let's look at the second question. What are your biggest strengths and weaknesses? And this can be a dangerous question, and people have lost entire interviews over this. So let's start by looking at the strengths. So you need to find something that is relevant. So you have to have a deep understanding of Infosys as business and know exactly what they are looking for. You want to produce evidence backing up. You're saying it's a strength, but why should they believe that it's actually a strength? You have to prove that it's a strength, and you want to link it very strongly to the job. So whatever you're applying for, you have to make your strength perfectly match it. For example, if you're going into a kind of software area, here's a way to structure your answer. So any answer, you'll start with your point, which is, this is my strength. For example, I am exceptionally competent in Java programming. I'm absolutely amazing at Java. That's your point. You need to have some evidence. So you ought to show some grades that say, I say that I'm good at this programming language. I took an exam in it and I was amazing. So something that means that you don't have to rely on what you're saying, that you can actually prove that what you're saying is definitely true. If you've completed a project using your strength and you've achieved highly on that project, that's an amazing thing to bring in. And if you've got a reference from, say, an academic at your university that's backing up what you say is a strength, that's also very strong information. You don't want them to have to rely on you as being their only source of information about your strength. And the last step is to explain exactly how your strength is going to be used at Infosys and how it's going to help their business. So for example, if you're using Java, you could talk about how Infosys uses Java, some projects that they've delivered with that, and some contracts that they have that use Java. So, for example, some look at their big customers and look at what programming language their applications have been developed in. And that's a really, really strong way to answer it. So get those 3 points in, the most important being the evidence, because you're doing two things. You're showing them a strength and you're proving that you're perfect for the job at the same time. So follow this strategy and you'll really nail the strengths one. For the weaknesses one, you have to be much more careful. So start by making sure you say a genuine weakness. So a classic thing people do with this question is they say something like, I'm too much of a perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect, which is not really much of a weakness. It's in some sense a strength, but a little bit of a weakness. It's an inability to actually find something to develop. So you want to show an awareness that you know where you need to develop, but you also want to be careful, make sure you say that you're doing something about it. So pick a weakness that really is a weakness, but show that you're actually doing something about it. And most importantly, do not pick something that is really, really important for the job. For example, if you're applying for Infosys and you say, I hate working with computers, I really don't understand them, that's probably going to lose you the job. So here's the structure that I would recommend you use. So you start by saying, one of the weaknesses I'm very much aware of is I'm working on this by, and then lastly, I can work with Infosys by. So you're getting all the key ideas. You're showing you're aware of your weakness. You're also showing that you're doing something about it. And you can also show off the research that you've done on the training that Infosys provides. And so you're also reassuring them that thanks to the training that you're going to get, by the time you actually start fully in your role, perhaps that isn't going to be so much of a weakness. So you can kind of get away with not even really revealing a weakness that is of any consequence to your job. So if you follow this strategy again, you should do really well in this question. So let's go on to question 3. Why should Infosys hire you? And basically, there's 3 things that you really want to get across. And this is roughly what they're looking for. They want people that have got very good technical skills. And by this point, you should have already passed the Infosys technical interview. So you've got some evidence of that, but you want to reiterate your real technical prowess and how being amazing at your technical area is going to really drive forward their business. So show off your expertise again and make a really compelling case about your qualifications and what makes you stand out in your chosen speciality. The next thing you want to show is that you've got some development potential, that you could in theory, become a leader in the company, and that you're committed to learning, committed to development, you take on board all of the opportunities that the company provides, and you're really enthusiastic about training and development. And the last thing to really emphasize is how you can contribute to the business. So if you can talk about some projects that the company has done and how you would be able to contribute to those and how your skills are going to be super helpful to developing the business. If you get those 3 ideas in, you're making the case for your own hiring. So this is your opportunity to really sell yourself. So have a few bullet points on each of those 3 areas and really go for it. Really sell them on that, and you'll do fine on this question. So let's look at question 4. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And it is not a difficult question to answer, but it is an easy question to do very badly on. So you want to start by talking about how you can grow with the business, because Infosys is a very fast-growing business, and so there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to grow alongside the business. So as the business expands, there's going to be opportunities for high-performing people in the business. You're going to also talk about how you can leverage the opportunities, to talk about the training again that the company provides, talk about the pathways that the company provides, and how you're going to use those opportunities. And you really have to research those, and they'll change over time. So make sure you're looking at current information. And a good story to talk about is where you are now and where you could be in 5 years' time and what you're going to do to get there. It's about the road rather than just the destination. People overemphasize the destination. You're going to talk about what you're going to do to be amazing at your current role and how being amazing is going to help you to earn the level above. A bad answer, however, assumes promotion. You say, in 5 years' time, I'm looking to be this very important person automatically. You don't talk about what the company's providing. You don't mention any of the training. You don't mention any of the development, and you're not going to learn anything at all while you're there that's going to help you. And the worst thing to mention is talking about leaving Infosys, going and finding a better job somewhere else, because the hiring manager wants to have an easy life. They want to hire people and then just stay around and not have to constantly re-recruit for positions. Whereas if you're saying you're going to leave, well, you're just pretty much wasting their time and they're going to give the job to someone else. Let's look at the last one. And this question you can guarantee will come up. And if you don't have at least 3 questions planned out, you will not do very well on this question. So it's your opportunity to really show off your knowledge again. You have to ask questions that you actually care about the answer. Don't just brainlessly memorize questions to ask without actually caring about the answer, because that comes across. I've given you a few suggestions of some questions you may want to ask, but I recommend you reword these in your own way and adapt it towards your personal interests. And the key thing is that you are showing that you're interested and that you're not revealing anything negative. So I would recommend that you don't show a lack of research. So if there's anything that you could easily find out with some research, don't ask that in your interview. And also, do not ask about holidays and don't ask about salaries. This is not the appropriate time to ask about salaries. You have that discussion after they've decided that they would like to offer you the job. So hopefully this video has been very helpful to you, and I wish you the best of luck in your Infosys interview. Thank you very much for watching.